lay back, unwind, groove to the rhythm, it'll soothe your mind. Live, laugh, love, throw some shade along the way. Oh, please behave. Somebody say, oh, let's go. Let's go. It's time to turn on your radio. Rhymes will flow. Just so you know, you're kicking it with K. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh, let's go.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to Kicking It with K Marie. I am your host, K Marie. And it's a lot that's been going on, y'all, since the break. Okay. So, the last thing you've heard, so those of you who are listening to, the podcast in like order, the last thing that you remember me saying was I was going to take a little break because I was prepping, for the wedding. So some of you may know because you follow me on social media, and some may not. But I just want to address something. I didn't get married. You know, I did not get married. It was a choice that was for the best. Trust, it was for the best, and a lot of people, and I just want to just briefly discuss this. A lot of people, even though they've gone through, they planned something, they might postpone it. That was the original plan, but no. Mm-mm. A lot of times, following peace, wanting peace, is best, in your life, and that's what I wanted. Without getting into too much detail, especially about the other person. Um, I just wanted peace, and I just wanted to move on. We've known each other for a long time, since we were 15. And, sometimes it's hard to, just to let that go, that person go. But sometimes it's for the best. It was our second attempt, and sometimes you just got to take a L. You do. You just got to take a L on that situation and just move on. Um, and that's what we did. And I don't regret that decision. I'm very excited for the next chapter of my life. And I'm glad that I didn't do what a lot of people have done. You talk to some women who will go through with their wedding, even though, like, on the inside, they're like, I knew I should not have done it. And then, later the divorce happens and then that comes out. So, I didn't care about saving face. I didn't care about what others may think at first, if I'm being totally transparent. And I thank my friends. I had a great group of friends, 6 ladies who I call my council, and they helped me through the transition. They really did. I love them so much. They know who they are. Um, I can't thank them enough for what they've done. Okay. So, you know that we do series every month, and October is our fresh new series. It's called the Starting Over series. How apropos, right? Starting over. And I have a guest today. She is, well, before I say that, I was watching television over my mother's house, and somebody was saying something. I was watching something, a show, and it was like, yeah, I have a breakup coach. I was like, that is different. So I just did a little Google search to see what that was, and I was like, wow, this is interesting. So yeah, so that's we're gonna be talking about some things along those lines, and some, how to heal and all of that good stuff. And without further ado, let me introduce today's guest. So Nancy Ruth Dean is a conscious breakup coach and certified breath, excuse me, breathwork teacher who teaches men and women how to do the emotional and spiritual work while going through a breakup. She's here to bring a more mindful and loving approach to the healing process so that her clients and followers can not only get through their heartbreaks, but attract conscious relationships in the future, just like she has. She has been featured in articles like Cosmopolitan, Bustle, Well and Good, and have been featured on many conscious minded podcasts. And I really thank her so much for joining us and to share her expertise with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Nancy Ruth Dean. Hi, Nancy.
Hello, thank you for having me here today.
Thank you for coming on. And it was really quick how we linked up too. So,
Yeah, it was.
so I really appreciate that. So okay, we're just gonna dive right into it.
Let's
A
hear it.
breakup coach. So just tell us exactly what you do.
Yeah, that is the question that I get asked. And people, it's funny, I've asked when I talk to like women, they'll be like, "Oh, breakup coach, like you help people through the breakup." When I talk to guys, they're like, "Do you help people break up?" So I find that it's so funny because it's just so important. It's like, okay, guys, what is the breakup coach here? For me, just to give you a little background of how I even got to that title, I
Mm-hmm.
call myself breakup coach for short, conscious breakup coach, which is a
Right.
mouthful. That is my title, but I actually started as a professional matchmaker, and
What?
so I was pairing. I knew, like just like you said, I was watching TV. I was watching TV too at 16 years old, watching Millionaire Matchmaker on TV, and I just felt like I knew that's what I wanted to do. I loved
Mm.
relationships. Like I wanted to have that glamorous life and all that good stuff. And so I chased that dream at 24. I became a professional matchmaker. And lo and behold, it was not at all what I thought it would be. It was really deep. It was very intense. The
Mm.
emotions were heavy. And a lot of people were coming to the table with really big stories about their breakups. A lot of people going through a really difficult breakup and then wanting to be matched up, in the best possible way. Who better than a matchmaker, right?
Right.
So one would think. Um, so for 3.5 years, I did that, but I couldn't help but think, it's one thing to get paired up with somebody, but we might, blow it if we don't know how to do our own internal
That's
work.
true.
And so I kept seeing this, and then the patterns would keep happening. So eventually I knew I had to start my own business to really help people do the emotional work so that when they're going through a breakup, it's not just ice cream and pizza all day long.
Right.
It's doing that work, getting ready for that transition, and doing the work so that you can attract the right kind of relationship that you want that feels good for you. And so lo and behold, Nancy Ruth Dean, the conscious breakup coach, was born.
Wow. So when you say doing the work, what does doing the work entails?
Doing the work means so when we typically go through a breakup, we think to ourselves, I just got to get through it. Like I just, have to wait one day after another. And then maybe somehow, like if we dated for a year and a half, then maybe it's only gonna take me 3.5 months to get over them. And I just have to wait until that time happens. And then my mind, I'll just be good, you know? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're being fed a lot of the time. Or we're being fed other things like, this is how you get your ex back and this is how you do it. But really, we are these beings, as difficult as it is to say, because trust me, I've had my fair share of heartbreak as well. And we just think, maybe we have to just find somebody new, or we just have all these ideas about what we
Right.
think it should be. But really, this is a time where we need to look at what's going on for us, see it both. I love seeing it both as psychological, looking at our belief system, but also doing the spiritual work and seeing that like there's always a plan in motion, right? And that's kind of the mystery of life. So I love being able to bring that kind of trust and faith in this really dark process, but
Mm.
also teach people how to look at their beliefs and relationships, debunk their patterns, really look at the things that actually have been holding, just the same way I did, have been holding me back to before finding my fiance, and helping them do the exact same thing. Because we get into those patterns and those cycles. We get really down on ourselves, not everybody, but a lot, and we don't know what to do. We don't know where to turn.
Right.
So that's the work, right?
Okay, so what made you come to you say you've had heartache, if you live long enough, you will have heartache.
Yep.
So what did you do exactly to position yourself to meet your now fiance?
So for me, I actually found, I should say, my spiritual teacher found me 8 months before I met my fiance. Now, I don't know if everybody here listening believes this, but I really believe that the people who are put in our life are put in our life for a reason, right?
Yes, most definitely.
And I was going through this really weird breakup. I want to call it like a weird breakup situation, because we had only been dating for 3.5 months. It was a very strange, dark time. Um, and I just randomly got invited to go see my friends. And so I did. And then there was this woman there, and she was just disguised as a regular gal, just about 10 years older than I. And she called me her soul sister. And I had never heard that term before.
Uh-huh.
Needless to say, she just decided to continue to spend time with me. And eventually we became mentee and mentors, but like a very soul sister friendship. And she taught me because I'd ask her about my long-term boyfriend, where we eventually were living together, and then the relationships I had after that, and had asked her, like, how does one deal with such existential questions here? And she would show me, and it would resonate for the first time. When you get advice, it's like, when you're like, oh, I know I should do this,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
you don't.
Yes.
There was this depth and this real confidence and divinity that she had, that I learned so much from. And so she really taught me how to release certain things, and I wanted to be like her. So I was working in matchmaking, and there was nothing divine about what I was doing there. I loved my boss. I loved the opportunity. I loved what I learned, but it was very business oriented.
Okay.
So what I'm learning from her, and I'm learning how to like release my exes, release those beliefs that have literally called in these guys that I was seeing, these experiences I was having, or creating, I shouldn't say creating, but kind of like I had these beliefs I didn't know I had, right? I thought I was just walking around the earth just being me. I didn't realize these were beliefs. And so she taught me a lot about that. So as I was doing that process, I got to a place in my life, not long, right? 8 months, not long till I just decided, like, everything that I'm going to do is going to be for me. Like, because I was that gal, and I know we know a lot of these gals too, where we just want to be in a relationship, like a loving, loving relationship. And as much as we want that, we have to do the work too. So I got to a place, I let go of needing to be that gal that was in a relationship. And as soon as that happened, that's when my fiance and I then met, very coincidentally, or so. Yeah.
I believe that too. I believe, like, when you're looking for something, like, if that's all that's on your mind, I think it's going to slow down that process. It's like watching a pot boils. It's like you're watching it. It seems like it's going to take forever to watch, but if you walk away from it and then come back to it, it's like, oh, okay, it's boiling. So I believe too that when you're busy, just like you said, working on you and just doing you, whatever your passion is, or whatever, just staying busy, just going through your life, doing you. I think that's when that person comes into your life as well.
It's so true. And the big question is, well, how do I get to that place, right? Because a lot of our wiser friends, I certainly have them, they would just say, like, it comes when you're least expecting it, or you
Yeah.
have to love yourself enough. And it's just like, oh my gosh, this is so big. Like, how do we
Right.
even start? And that's the best, right? That's one thing I love about being a conscious breakup coach, because I have felt and known what it's like to be in that state, the larvae state, where you're
Mm-hmm.
growing into a butterfly and
Mm-hmm.
you're really, it's exciting, right? I say it sucks, but it's exciting, because if it weren't for all these breakups that I went through, even the ones that were only 3 weeks long or 3 months long, like they all forced me to really take a look at these bigger questions, or
Mm.
thinking, like, why is my relationship my hobby? Like, why
Mm.
am I waiting around for my
Mm-hmm.
guy to come home? Like, why am I
Oh,
waiting
I
for him?
like that. I like that. Why
Right?
is my relationship my hobby? I like that, because some people, that's good. Yeah, they do treat it like a hobby.
Yeah. I was that, I say I was that girl. I know that can kind of be a little bit triggering, but when I say I was that girl, like, I'm looking at me years ago, not many years ago, 3.5,
Mm-hmm.
and because we want love so bad, we love love, like,
Yeah.
we are on this planet to love, but
Yeah.
when we're willing to love so much that we don't know who we are outside of a relationship,
Mm.
that's the terms we need to come to terms with that, because that's not actually what our intention is for being on this planet,
Mm-hmm.
as much as it can feel that way.
No, that is so true. Because I'm a spiritual person. I'm a believer. I'm a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is it's always been taught to me that um in order to be like a a good in a marriage or relationship, it's good to be 100% whole. It should be 2 people coming together at their 100% instead of like 50-50, which makes 100. You know,
Yeah.
and it makes it that much better. It really does.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
The
So do you? Go ahead. I'm
No,
sorry.
you go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh no. So do you find more women use your services, or is it more men, or is it about the same?
It's about the same,
Hmm.
actually. A lot of a lot of conscious men coming for very different like, I had a client come to me 2 days ago who was so conscious. I use the word conscious. How, conscious, just really being aware of,
Yeah.
how their actions affect their partner. Really kind of choosing the healthiest, most loving way to approach things. And it shakes me a little bit, because don't we hear often, guys aren't like that. They don't,
Yeah.
right? But really, what I get to see, which is a privilege, is seeing a lot of the men choose my service over, let's say, another person's service, because they want to look at what really happened in the relationship from a fair, both-sided
Hmm.
kind of situation.
So what common problems, like the top 3 problems, do you see, or do you see when people come to your services? What are those top 3 common problems that people had in relationships?
Ooh, okay. The first one for sure is when somebody, man or woman, gives 120%, and still finds themselves in a relationship where the other person says, I didn't ask you to give that much. Like, and where there's almost like a very, like, this person's giving 120%, yet they still feel really needy. And then the other person is kind of giving 30. It looks like the other person is giving 30% and they're not fully like committed the way that the other person is. So that kind of dynamic. Another one is just when any one partner is feeling an intense level of regret. Did I make the right decision? Are we supposed to be broken up? Like, that's a big one, right? And then the next one I would say is, I want to ask, I kind of want to say, the other one that comes up is when people reach out to me and they just want to know, is my situation legitimate enough to break up?
Okay.
Because is kind of the other category.
Okay. So they kind of come that, so that category is more like, am I really being should I break up over this? Basically, like if it's something really, is it really that big of a deal?
Right. And it's like, well, you've already come to a breakup coach. That must mean that there is a legitimate reation for you asking, right? So we kind of start there, but I don't know why I feel like I have to say this right now. It takes a lot of mental and like, you have to be in a very aligned, conscious state to be like, I'm going to go seek out a breakup coach, right? Because, and I love that you preface with saying that you have such good friends. Like, don't we need that in this time? And then there's a time and place where you can just go and talk to any objective person, be it a therapist or a coach, and just be like, this is my situation. My friends know me and love me, and I know their opinions are coming from the best place, from experience, from love. But I feel like I just need to say fully what I need to say about my situation, because we know sometimes we leave some stuff out because we don't really want to share that necessarily. Or we don't want to get thrown back in our face later on. Definitely been there myself. So it's really good to just even be able to, you might know that you want to break up, but sometimes you just want to go to that professional, or you just want to have that soundboard just so you can hear your own story out fully, right?
Yes. No, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Seeing a therapist, a professional, I really recommend that, because
Or a
like
mentor. Or a mentor.
Yeah, or a mentor.
Yeah.
Like you said, anybody that's really objective, someone that you can, that you can trust to really tell, everything to, and they can help you out in turn.
Yeah.
I do believe that.
Yeah.
I heavily support that.
Yeah.
I advise anyone to see, like, if you get out of a long-term relationship or divorce or whatever it may be, I really do recommend you speaking to someone, a professional, or like you said, like or a mentee.
Yeah.
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 It was something else that I wanted to ask you, and that kind of went by me. Okay, so oh, I got it. When I was reading on your website, which we'll give out shortly, you said that you help people, correct me if I'm wrong, get their ex back.
No, I don't help people get their ex back. No.
Okay. That's why I said correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. So, because I was like, wait a minute, what if they don't want to be if they don't want to go back?
Right.
Okay.
No, and that's one of the big, I actually get a lot of messages from guys who say, Nancy, I want to talk to you because I know that a lot of the guy breakup coaches are actually trying to like scheme and do, sometimes manipulative or just not conscious ways of dealing with trying to get back with your ex and having those proper conversations and those healthier conversations. So that's one of the things that I regularly hear, which is I'm not going to say a cornerstone of my work, but it really reinforces that there is a healthy way to heal from your breakup and how to use this time of transition than to just shut down your emotions and just try to go back to what's comfortable because we don't necessarily know what's going on inside of us.
Okay, so what can you say to the person that's listening or watching right now that's thinking about breaking up with their significant other? What would you say to them right now at this point?
Ooh, that is such a highly personalized question depending on what they're going through. I would say there's a lot of, if you have been feeling like you've been wanting to break up for a while, but you know that fear is making you stay in the relationship, right? Because on a very simple level, we can make decisions out of fear or we can make decisions out of love or for ourselves and what's best for us. And when we feel like we want to stay in that relationship, but then that big fear that will tell us, no, don't go, like you'll just be lonely or you'll never find anybody new. That sounds really legitimate, but it's so much better. I saw somebody posted in my Conscious Breakup Collective Facebook group. They posted a meme that said, sometimes being alone is an upgrade.
Oh.
And I felt that. I was like, yes, right? Because you can be, there is nothing worse than being in a relationship where you don't feel seen, you don't feel heard, you don't feel valued. And all your choices are, I'm in a relationship, I don't feel seen, heard, or valued, but I'm also terrified of loneliness, right? It's a lose-lose. If you are willing to put what you need first, what's healthy for you, and be alone and get that support from your friends, from a professional, and because you can take care of yourself. You've got everything you need to take care of yourself in this time. Just sometimes we don't hear that enough. So don't let that fear of what will come in the future guide you to staying in situations that don't feel good for you.
Love that, love that, love that. And I love that sometimes, being alone is an upgrade, which is so true. Because, and like you said, a lot of people, that fear of maybe not finding someone or that fear of just being alone with themselves, that's why people need to work on themselves so you can love yourself, so it feels good when you are by yourself, even if you don't meet anyone, because that's how I was. I'm like, I would rather be by myself, happy, full of peace, than being in a situation where I'm always worrying about this, or always worrying about that, or not. I'm doing what it takes, but I'm not getting that reciprocated. So I would rather be by myself, like, really, because I love me.
Yeah.
I love me. I love hanging out with me. I date myself. I go, before pre-pandemic, I was the person, I would go to the movies by myself. I would go to dinner by myself. I love being around me.
Oh,
and that's yeah, being in that state is a blessing, because that way you won't fall prey for anything that's not good for you.
Well, right. And I think the big thing too that I learned in my journey is you don't go from one day being in, let's say even an unhealthy or toxic relationship. When I talk about toxic relationships, that tends to be the content that is seen and appreciated the most. But if you're in a relationship that feels really unhealthy, and you're not going to go from that relationship to loving yourself the next day. It's a
Right.
transition, but I find the human mind will have us believe like you can only leave when you love yourself or when you know that you're going to be okay. Like sometimes just getting out of that relationship is the
Yes.
biggest thing you could ever do. And sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit for just being able to leave, no matter how you feel like you're falling apart after.
Agreed. Agreed. So, where can people find you, Nancy?
You can find me at hellobreakup.com, and you can also find me on my free Facebook group, the Conscious Breakup Collective, or if you go on my website, you'll be able to see it very clearly on the homepage as well. Right now, it's only available for women, but if anything changes, you'll see those changes.
And I'll have that posted on our when I post this episode. When it posts, I'll have that information too. It's what people can link up and hook up to you. And thank you so much.
Thank you
Like I said, I
so
won't.
much.
Like I said, I like to keep it kind of, not as long because I know people's attention span, and
Yeah.
I'm one of them. But yeah, so we just gave you this a little bit just to whet your appetite, so you know what Nancy does, and if you find yourself needing her services, feel free to contact her because you don't have to go at this alone. And if you are in a situation where you want to leave and you're afraid, do it afraid. Do it afraid and talk to someone because your emotional well being, your spiritual well being, your happiness, your peace, that should be what matters. Any last words you want to leave with the audience, Nancy?
No, you said it perfectly right there. Don't be afraid to do it scared. You're not alone. You'll see in my Facebook group there's almost 600 gals going through this right at the exact same time. Let your well-being be the priority even when you feel scared. Yeah. Follow that. Follow that.
I agree. Follow that. And you all follow Nancy on her. You have your social medias. You just on Facebook. Do you have Instagram?
My Instagram's private, so just my Facebook.
All right, it's Facebook. And you all, you know someone, a man or a woman that probably need to break up, or somebody that has broken up and they're still, going through it. Please share this podcast episode. Like, share, subscribe to Kicking It with Kay Marie podcast, and just help somebody. It will, if you know that it will help somebody, go ahead and do that. Okay. All right. So we will end here, and we will pick up again next week with a whole new topic. Still starting over, but it's going to be another topic. And thank you all so much just for hanging in there with me. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I have some good things coming down the pipeline, some good content, some good people that you're going to meet. And I'm just excited about that. And thank you again, Nancy and everyone. Oh, I know you noticed I have a new theme song. And I love it. It's a whole song. Raphael Griffin, he is the artist. He wrote it. He's singing on it. And it's available for purchase if you want it. And so I just thank him for that because I love it. New beginnings, new everything. So thank you. I love each and every one of you. I will see you next week. Nancy, don't click out just yet. And everybody else, bye. See you next week.
Let's go. It's time to turn up your radio. Turn up the radio. Just so you know, you're kicking it with Kay. That's all I'm gonna say. You're here now.